I'd like to add my welcome to everybody today. Very grateful for the support and the interest in what we're hoping to do with AdAlta, and hopefully by the end of today you'll have a greater clarity and a clear picture of what we're hoping to do to build on this fantastic platform that that I've inherited and are building on the work of many people over the last 12 years. We are ASX listed, so as Jane has mentioned, all the materials from today are on the ASX now, and all the content you'll hear today is in the public domain. I'd like to introduce the presenters who are with me today, essentially comprising the executive team. You've met Mick and Dallas previously, but I'd like to particularly acknowledge Claudia Gregoria King, has just joined as our VP of Clinical Product Development, and Kevin Lynch, who's our consultant medical expert. These are important recent additions to our team to support us as we move into our phase 1 clinical program with our lead product. I'd also like to acknowledge the continued support of our board and scientific advisory board, all of whom have been instrumental in helping us to shape and finalise the strategy you're going to hear today. Paul's spoken about the three major events that we've achieved in the last 3 to 4 months. So I won't touch on these in great detail right now. Mick will talk in some more detail about these in his session later on this morning. But just to reiterate, these are really, really exciting milestones that give us much stronger confidence in the quality of our lead asset, but also provide much greater confidence in our platform and its capabilities to develop multiple products. We won a competitive $1 million grant from the Australian Government and the Medical Research Future Fund. And this, as Paul has mentioned, has enabled us to radio label AD214, and if successful, that will allow us to gain much greater information about the performance of our drug and its engagement with its target in the lungs of patients in our phase 1 program. This is information that otherwise would not have been available until phase 2. We've now demonstrated efficacy of our lead product candidate in the gold standard animal model for IPF. Critical to being able to move forward into phase 1. We're not surprised by these results because we'd seen it with previous formats of the drug, but this was pivotal to going into our phase 1 program. And then the pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic data we've seen in our non-human primate studies has shown that our drug binds to CXCR4 and it does it for a duration that gives us great confidence in being able to hit a weekly dosing schedule in humans. And this was our minimum target for a clinically viable product. So I'm going to recap our strategy in a few slides right now before diving into the details. So in essence, you're getting the next 90 minutes or so in 5, and then we'll dive deeper into the key themes through here. So our strategy today that we're releasing is really, in some senses, it's evolution, not revolution. It's a sharper focus and a clear plan that we've probably never articulated before as to how we realise the potential. But our purpose remains the same. We are using our iBody platform to discover and develop next generation protein therapeutics that act on hard to drug targets. Essentially, we're looking to drug difficult to drug targets, and that's where we're focusing the platform. We'll talk more about that later on. That opens up a 2-part business model. And again, we've presented this before. Today we provide greater granularity on what it actually means to expand each of those. So using our platform, we can generate many, many more drugs than we can develop internally. So our business model has 2 strategies. Build an internal pipeline, and we'll talk today about the sweet spot of iBody drug candidates and targets where we believe our internal capabilities are best focused. And we'll develop those products through until an inflection point, typically phase 1 or phase 2, before licensing out to big pharma. The second stream for generating revenue and value from the platform is co-developing products with partners. And here we're looking for partner-led target selection and partners that actually bring biological insight or complementary technologies that help make an iBody-based drug that much more effective and that we can't necessarily do ourselves. Today we have 1 product internally and 1 external partnership in our partnership with GE announced last year. Our strategy is to expand both of those, and today we'll tell you more about how we plan to do that. So specifically, we'll be providing greater clarity around our near-term priorities. We'll talk about how we're going to progress AD214, our lead product candidate, into the clinic and into multiple indications. We'll talk about where we're going to focus our internal product development efforts to build a pipeline of G protein-coupled receptor product candidates. We'll talk about how we're going to build an external pipeline through partnerships to access other product categories and therapeutic areas. And we'll talk about our initiatives to drive continuous improvement of both the iBody platform and our AD214 product to ensure that we stay at the forefront of advanced antibody therapeutics. We're also going to map out a pathway to build from a single product, single partner company today to a multi-product, multi-partner company in the future. Starting with maximising our current funding to maximise the number of and the value of information we can generate from that. That allows us to expand, to set the platforms for growth with the extension of our programs into phase 1 patients and more planning and proof of concept work on the pipeline, which now sets us up to then accelerate from the middle of next year onwards. We'll talk more about what each of those involves, and you'll see how all that comes together by the end of today's discussion. Importantly, you're going to be able to track our progress as we steadily improve the key metrics that drive our business. Metrics are obviously going to be built around AD214 development. This is our lead asset and our most valuable asset, and you'll start to see progression from a preclinical asset today to an asset in hopefully 2 indications with a phase 1 partnering window open by 2022-23. In addition to that, you'll see growth of our internal pipeline as we transition it from exploratory research to prove the concept of our platform's ability to hit difficult targets to specific programs with GPCR targets selected for clearly defined product potential. By 2023, we'd hope to have 5 of those programs in development, with at least 2 moving into the advanced preclinical stage. Our revenue generating partnerships comprise 1 today. We'd expect that to be 3 to 5 co-development partnerships in the years to come. Our news flow has been reasonably patchy, as you would expect with a single product. By 2023, we'll start to see a more robust news flow of achieving multiple products, achieving milestones, so that there's less time between drinks, so to speak. And financing to date has been a fairly regular event with relatively small raises to get us to operational milestones. We want to transition our financing strategy to the point where 2 things happen. 1, our partnering revenue starts to make a meaningful and increasing contribution to our costs, and we'd predict something in the low double digits %. And then multi-year financing certainty so that we're not raising under pressure as has sometimes happened to us in the past. Now, obviously, that's a vision for 2023. You don't have to wait until 2023 to see these things coming through. There will be a number of progression points along the way that show progress towards these goals. So we're now going to walk through a deep dive on strategy. Nick will then follow up with a description of our 214 preclinical data and our phase 1 clinical plans. We'll then explore how we're going to build the pipeline and our partnerships. We'll talk about the continuous improvement initiatives to keep us at the forefront of our technology field, and then close by talking about how we fit it all together into an integrated plan. So our strategy is built around, I guess, 4 key points. The first is that we have a platform with genuine potential to do things that traditional antibodies find difficult, and it's underutilised and its potential hasn't been fully realised today. This is really why I joined AdAlta, because of this opportunity. And I haven't heard anything since to suggest that that opportunity is not real and exciting, and it's been exemplified by all of the partners that I've spoken to and a number of deep biotech analysts and investors in offshore markets who compliment us on the quality of our platform and the potential that it offers. The second point that underpins our strategy is that getting 214 into the clinic is really a coming of age moment. It provides the catalyst that allows us to realise the value of the platform. It gives confidence in partners, it should give confidence in investors And it certainly gives confidence to us that we can actually take that big step of taking an idea and a scientific concept and turn it into something we can give to a patient. It also validates our platform from a whole bunch of perspectives that encourage other people to partner with us to develop other products, purely because we've got the first into the clinic. So the third and fourth parts of our strategic plan are really built around driving the enormous value in AD214 itself. We have compelling preclinical data. We have proof of concept data in multiple indications, each of which is worth over $1 billion in market today. And we're on track to commence our phase 1 program in mid-year. And then the rest of the strategy is about the opportunity to build a broad and valuable pipeline of internal and external antibody-based product candidates. And how we do all of that is the theme of today. So let's move on to setting the foundation. The foundation of our strategy is these antibodies that do things that traditional antibodies can't. And for that reason, our focus is entirely on difficult to drug targets. Now, this is slightly more risky than going after well-validated targets that an antibody can get, but equally, we don't have nearly the same competition, and playing to these difficult to drug targets is really playing to our own strengths. So what do we mean by a difficult to drug target? These are targets that are implicated typically in multiple biochemical pathways. And therefore, how you engage with that target is going to influence the biological effect. And many of our therapeutics against these targets today aren't sufficiently selective, and so you trigger all of those pathways, which leads to side effects. The flip side is that many of these targets are involved in, or members of very, very similar families. And so the ability to hit target X rather than target Y is actually a non-trivial process. And so there are a significant number of these difficult to drug target families that we're interested in. Our internal focus will be on a class called G protein coupled receptors. We'll talk more about those later. And our external partnering efforts will look at other areas such as ion channels and some of the difficult to drug ligands that engage with some of these receptors. Over the past 12 years, we've developed significant proof of concept that we can actually engage these targets very specifically. CXCR4 was a good example. When we were discovering the molecule that is our current lead candidate, we actually discovered a whole range of antibodies against the CXCR4 receptor, and in a family of about 10, every one of them had different pharmacological effects, demonstrating the ability for us to actually tune the engagement with a specific receptor to produce a highly specific pharmacological and pharmaceutic outcome. So it has been a long journey to today. But I can't emphasize enough how significant getting our first product to the clinic is. This is a coming of age moment for any biotech company. It validates our platform. It confirms that we have the capabilities to bring a drug all the way to the clinic, and it provides the catalyst and the opportunity for pipeline expansion. So today, this year marks the change of focus from getting our first product to the clinic to prove the concept and the value of the platform, to switching gears and realising the full value of the platform with a multi-product pipeline. During my first 100 to 120 days, I've had the opportunity to engage with a number of shareholders, investors and other stakeholders across the world. And their feedback about our strengths and weaknesses and their appetites for risk and scale of growth have informed our strategy. Specifically, I'd like to highlight again that the novel capabilities of our platform is particularly exciting to many investors and partners around the world. They like the fact that we have something that's not just another antibody discovery vehicle. They're also encouraging us to be bold and creative with our product selections. Don't be conservative. Go after something that other people haven't been able to do. Show us what your platform can really do. This is consistent feedback that I'm getting from investors and partners across the world. If other people are doing it, or it's relatively easy to do, they know they can do that, and a big pharma company can do that in their own shop and they industrialise it. These are the kind of things that Dallas used to do at CSL routinely when he was there. Some of the things that we've been asked to be sharper on is really align our operating strategy and vision with our financing. Talk about how financing gets to not just the next operational point, but how does it fit in within the broader picture. And as I mentioned, people are keen for us not to be developing just another TNF-alpha inhibitor or drug that's against a target that's been very well drugged. So you'll see these themes start to flow through the strategy today. I'm not saying that we're being led by the external marketplace. Certainly we've done this on the basis of what our internal strengths and weaknesses are. But this fully leverage the unique properties of the platform as the underlying theme that is driving our strategy. And so with that in mind, I thought it'd be useful to go back to thinking about what it takes to be a multi-product company. And we've previously talked about Ablynx as a case study. Ablynx developed a portfolio of nanobodies. They're a similar technology idea to iBodies, but coming from a different background. And over a 10 to 15 year period, they built what ultimately became a $5 billion company when they exited to Sanofi. The point I'd like to make initially about Ablynx is that their strategy was pretty straightforward and at a high level isn't that dissimilar to ours. Leverage the platform to identify as many drug candidates as you can. Drive a lead product through to clinical development to validate the platform. Partner selectively to maximise the opportunity to develop as many drugs as possible from the platform, and maintain and expand the platform technology to maintain a strong IP position. This is directly from Ablynx's IPO prospectus in 2007 when they were taking their first product into the clinic. So in a sense, we're at a comparative position to where Ablynx were back in 2007. We have the opportunity to use that first clinical trial as a real catalyst to accelerate our growth. The constraint, of course, is that the rate of acceleration is going to be dependent on our capital resources. So let's dive a little bit more deeply to compare the two companies at that particular point in time when the first product was going into the clinic. And you can see here that Ablynx was much larger, where at any stage in the pipeline they had far more activity going on, they had more partnerships, they had more patents. Importantly, they'd actually had a lot more people, and they'd spent a lot more money, and were continuing to spend a lot more money. So in that context, we've actually done okay to get to where we are today with the resources we've had at our disposal. The opportunity, though, if we really want to be on track to be a $1 billion plus exit, is that we need to expand the scale of our activity. We need to have more programs operating within our business. And so that is really the objective and the key strategic challenge we've been working through is how do we get there? How do we sensibly ramp up our level of activity without trying to go from 0 to 100 kilometres an hour in 2 seconds flat? So that set the scene for our strategy, which I've already summarised. Focus on difficult to drug targets where our platform is most advantaged. Drive a two-part business model where we focus in-house development on our well-defined iBody sweet spot and partner to access other target types and other therapeutic areas. Set a clear set of metrics that enable you to measure us as we progress to expand our activities. Focus very, very clearly on our key asset 214, building an internal pipeline of GPCR therapeutics, building our external pipeline through partnerships, and ensuring that we continue to invest in the platform so that it stays at the forefront of advanced protein therapeutics.